I will start by saying something from Africa. I just want to let you know that some Africans, especially in the Congo, who have left, who are no longer very active or have left the NuPresentation. They came on board with visions of a new life and the notion that the Numan will alleviate some, if not all, of their existential problems. Because they were connected, as they think, to the source of all that is, there is. And especially some might have been carried away by talk of the all humanitarian projects of the Numan, the all solar research vessel. They heard about the funding. They thought maybe the Numan would use a magic wand to cause it to come into being. And yes, you find that many people have had and continue to have these dreams, depending on their understanding of what is real about the NuPresentation. So during the past 2 weeks, we've had some stories of guys deserting the NuPresentation in the Congo. Notably, you have, you remember one Fiston whose stories were full of experiences with the real guides and how he was being protected and how the real guides was all for him. But now he left. The NuPresentation on the ground that nothing is working for him and life is stagnant and full of difficulties. Then the house of his girlfriend went up in flames. He lost everything. She's a new friend too. She lost everything. And then some also cite the case of Mariam, especially the corporation people. They are laughing at Mariam. Like she has fallen from grace to grass, and trying to insinuate that this is evidence that the new sound may have something unfavorable in its fold. So I chatted with one of a new friend, and on WhatsApp he tells me, let me just read what he says. It's really complicated, Charles. We all thought that the new should bring us a higher consciousness, and so we could live in harmony with life on all levels. I do not mean money, but just a peaceful life. How do you want us to share the new in these conditions? Should we tell people to go through all these trials to achieve full awareness? This is the speech that people have heard in a canker, for example. It says, in the new books, we do not hear about these kinds of events, but rather about life in all its splendor. So this keeps recurring, Duane. So what's your take on this?
It's not easy, is it, Charles? It's not easy at all. But yes, people are expecting something from a world that is being destroyed. Okay, so they're looking for their peace and happiness, etc. Let me ask you, Charles, are you doing any Skypes with the Africans, you personally? Or WhatsApp or whatever? Are there any groups? Do you have any groups?
No, we just communication on WhatsApp, nothing. No other activity, special activity with them.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that really helps is to, constantly, I constantly do these things. Kelsey does too, and others. And then when I meet new people, I also suggest that they step up and do something to kind of multiply it. But you have to look at this world, let's just look at it since Paul's day, since Paul was here, okay? So Paul creates his corporation, his Eckankar Corporation, and it's very simplified, okay, because it goes off of what basically everybody knew: the spiritual stuff, the God stuff, religion, and all these things. Okay, puts it together because it's the first step, and so creates the membership, and he's the babysitter, etc. It's all nice, and things are working because it's along people's personal life. And you have to look back in the 60s and the 70s, etc. Life was different than it is now. Everything has been speeded up. Well, because the new wave is here, which is more so than the rod of power, because that is just in creation itself, it extends all the way into the real universes, and bringing this position here because I recognize it, and I work with those few, I'm with those few that do recognize it also, and this is what we're doing on the real side, kind of like Pierce's experience that he shared on the UK, and maybe I'll have Pierce share it here again in a minute, but yeah, that and a lot more is taking place. Well, now you have a world, and they see us on the real side too, Charles. They see what we're doing, and they don't like it. And so they're stepping up, and they've stepped up a whole lot to distort, distract, even destroy others like Miriam and what have you, what's taken place. And yeah. And so, like the corporation members, yes, they're laughing because they're all tap lined by Harry and Joni, thinking that they have their la la land all set up. Do they? Yes, this is the real risk taker position. Yes, and I basically figured I would do this alone because who can really see it? And yeah, it's going to become more so. It's going to get worse. Just like I've said over the years, it's going to get worse because they are out to destroy this planet. They are out to deceive and discourage everybody here. And yeah, it's going to take a lot like never before. And you look at these people, you look at what they're saying. Oh, well, they just want peace, and they just want their life okay, and they just want this. Well, again, it's the personal life, isn't it? Well, how many lifetimes, and look at history, have we struggled? World wars and even devastation. You go back as far as Atlantis and what have you, where everything is annihilated and starts over, and there's huge ice ages. Well, this is what the world's going into now. And people don't see it, and they still want their personal life to be okay. They want to be able to go to their 9 to 5 job and things to be fine. Well, see, recognizing your real awareness now as opposed to everything else, all these little cliche, pretty words and spiritual ideas, hey, fine, go chase them. Go do your healings, go do your dances and whatever. That's fine, go do it. But it has nothing to do with your real awareness. And yes, people, again, here's the love idea. And respectfully, hey, nothing is negated, you decide. And this love idea, it's all emotional for the most part. And yes, the boys will agree, and it will look really good because everybody's looking for happiness. But there's a bigger picture. There's a bigger picture to see with your real awareness and what's going on in this world. I don't look for happiness. I'm hassled all the time. I'm blocked. I'm discouraged here. I do not look for happiness. I am not looking for a la la land. I just do what I do. That's what I do. That's why I'm here. I'm to do it, and I'm doing it, and especially on the real side. And who will see this? So in the meantime, yes, a lot is happening. Well, each person has to figure that out. This is not a rescue mission. We're not here to rescue people, nor are we setting up a mission to rescue people. We're showing people how to be self-sufficient. Now, you look out there at the animals and the birds. Yeah, they don't like it either, and the trees and whatever. But, they're not complaining in the same way. They're dealing with it. But at the same time, they're paying attention too, where the humans aren't. The people on this earth, for the most part, they're looking to be satisfied personally. Well, sorry, it's the earth, and the world controllers, the cabal, the monarchy, they're poisoning, and well, it's all poison. It's all being destroyed, etc. It's not going to get better. There's no la la land here, and those people that are with all these, politics, spiritual, religion, science, whatever, education, they're all unaware. They don't have what we have, in other words, but each person still has to figure this out for themselves. And yeah, this is a toughie. This is really a toughie. Gee, you read the books and you do some new use and you have some experiences and you think, oh, gee, everything is cool. Guess what? There's a bigger picture, because you're still in creation and you got to deal with it. I have to deal with it. I face it. I don't like it, but I deal with it, and I'm being blocked all the time, but we'll get through this. But it's not that I can bring everybody through it. On the real side, it is given the opportunity to where you in the personal self here, this side, this personal side, you have to figure this out. You have to learn to see how to recognize this. That's the difference. Yes. That's the difference with the new presentation, Charles. It's not the same. People, and I get it, they want their old routines to work in the same way they have before. And, oh, it should get better. Well, during Paul's time and when I was a contractor, there was a lot of prosperity. You might say those were the good old days, because you know what? We weren't shaking up the world. We were basically agreeing to the world as we were going along, as we were, learning whatever it was, and we were thinking of ourselves, well, we have initiations and we're spiritual and all these things. Well, all of a sudden this comes along here, and it's been a huge transition for me. And guess what? It is not the same. Not at all. It may appear to be, and things are around, but just like the candy bars that you like to eat once in a while, the ones of 50 years ago, the Snickers bars, they're not the same, but they do look the same, don't they? But they're not. They're more poisoned and they're more lethal. And so, yes, I'm dealing with it too. I'm dealing with everything in this world. And on the real side, we are battling things, especially with what I'm focused on, that pertains to the galaxy position that's being worked on to be brought forth, etc. So yeah, it is not the same. It is not the same. 50 years ago when Paul was here, uh, the world wasn't as poisoned and polluted. We didn't have chemtrails. We didn't have the HARP and all these things. We didn't have the Wi-Fi's, but now we got them. Now we got all this stuff. We got this huge impact. We got more mind control. Everybody's watched. Everything is observed and controlled and manipulated. It's very, very real. So if through all of that, people want to look for happiness and a nice life, good luck, because it doesn't exist here. But you can become more aware and a lot stronger and self-sufficient. But it's a lot. It's a lot to become more aware. And yeah, they can destroy me here and whatever, like they poisoned Paul and what have you. Well, we'll see. But I'm not defying the world. But the world is what it is, and they see what we're doing on the real side. They don't like it, and they're doing everything to stop us. And so that's what's really happening. And unless people really want to see that, but again, they're chasing the ideas in their personal life, aren't they? That's very real. And so until they face it, they won't. So it's just like when the individual goes to boot camp and becomes the soldier. It's hell and high water to get through boot camp and become the real soldier, isn't it? And then you got to face it. You got to face everything. And so this is where you face everything. It's not a matter of that, oh, gee, I want this and I want my life to be better, etc. Well, you can chase that and you can go out there and get a good job and make money and set yourself up. But it's only getting worse. And again, this is where, You know, I don't cater to a lot of these things. I know that we do a lot of things. This is just to reach the world. But this is going to get more focused as it goes along, because this is where people eventually get lost with all these things too. And just like the people in the corporation, I look at it since Paul's day, and most of those people didn't realize what Paul was saying. And, you know, so they're there with Joni and Harold. They're more than happy to be tap line and worshiping and praying to the Callum God, because they're self-satisfied. So as we go through these things and we bring these things in, just watch. You know, I'm going to take a different position constantly, because I'm not interested in these things that keep a person passive. Yes, it is hard here, but the reality is that when you start to recognize this reality, this true reality, your real awareness, more so than just catering to your personal life, you deal with your personal life. I deal with it. I don't really cater to it, but I just have to deal with it. I'm really not interested in it. Realistically, you don't need 5 bodies. You can surpass all of this if you're interested, if you decide you want to. So that's really where you're focused, and you really listen. But in the meantime, things are happening. So I really care about what's going on. But at the same time, people have to step up, and they have to care also, and they have to do their part with their real awareness to learn to see what is being presented. That becomes the difference, instead of chasing ideas. Yes. And so I've defined this very, very well, more so than anything, because most of those, all these systems out here, and most people, they're chasing ideas. They project an idea. This is where the world controllers have got most people tap line and unconscious, because they've set them up to be literal. And that's it. They're just basically literal, to where, again, they just think an idea, then, oh, gee, everything's okay. I'll just chase happiness and I'll be fine. Will you? No, you just stay unconscious. There is a difference, and to see it. So these things are going to constantly occur, Charles. But what I do is I keep doing what I'm doing, because I see it, and most people won't. And they'll just think, they'll look at the outer situations and think, oh, gee, well, you know, the new presentation is nothing. Well, you know, it's kind of like the race between the tortoise and the hare, isn't it? Let's see how it all ends up. Yeah, go ahead, Charles.
I'll do my best to convey this message, your answer, and I think a handful of them are already they're already convinced about where they are, and I hear some even telling others that they should stop all those their questions, and everyone should rely on themselves, and that you have to do something to you have to do something for life to support you. You do nothing, you get nothing. So most of them are coming out of that syndrome. Just a handful, you know. No, is this idea which the spiritual and religious systems have implanted in people, that seeking awareness, I don't know, or we used to call it spiritual, whatever. It has to go hand in glove with some material elevation too. But it's not that, as you pointed out. Yeah, because the awareness you get uh, is not. It doesn't have a one-to-one relationship with anything material. You see, but it would take a long time for people to make this to dissociate the two. So, well, step by step, we could get there.